Welcome, everybody. I am here today with Marilyn Bradford, and my name is Marnie Richman. And Marilyn and I like to team up once in a while and talk about things like addiction, families and addiction, getting over the wrongness of you. We've done quite a few things over the past few years. And we've been having conversations about addiction and looking at different topics and different ways that addiction shows up in our lives and in the world. And a term that Marilyn came up with, which I really love, is called slavior. And we're looking at, are you a slavior? So Marilyn, what does that mean?
Well, people have the idea that addiction is this narrow little thing, but people can be addicted to saving others. In other words, your family's meeting for dinner, your child is sick, maybe not seriously, but and someone calls, hey, Morgan needs someone to go to the store and get this. And you're not the only person involved, but there's this compulsion to do it. You have to save this. You have to save the committee that's falling apart. So I came up with the name slavior because actually an addiction to saving people makes you a slave to others. You don't have choice. And that's one of the defining elements of being a slave, is that essentially somebody else or a great number of people own you just by their request. And so you can't say no. Yeah. And that can create enormous difficulties in somebody's life, because basically they leave their life behind, whether it's they're leaving work when they shouldn't, or they're neglecting something with their kids or their friends or something, in order to go save often strangers or people that they barely know. So being a slavior is quite an addiction, actually.
Yes. And as you said, I wonder how much of the kind of spark that takes us to that is the guilt, where we look at where we've decided we've failed and where we're trying to make up for the damage we've decided we've done, which allows others to be in control, because we are constantly functioning from this, I owe you, I owe you, I owe you, I owe the world, I owe humanity, I owe either specific people or the world in general, because somehow I've decided fundamentally I'm not enough, or I've messed up too many things and I'm guilty. So I got to spend my whole life trying to fix it. And I have 3 children, and I will say that one of them, I found myself very much, it was very interesting. The moment he'd walk in the room, it was, what do you need? What do you need? Do you need something? Do you need something? Wow. And I mean, for years, really just functioning from, he would show up and I would go into that slavior thing of, wow, man, I'm sure I've really just fucked up this being a mother thing. So I'm sure I, should feel guilty about something. I missed the school play, or I was away on a trip when he got sick, or there's always something we can look at and feel guilty about. And then when we buy into the lie of that guilt, now we're trying to make up and save and make up and save. And as you said, amazingly, we become the slave and we have no choice.
And we have no choice. We were chatting briefly before we got on this Zoom, and you were talking, Marnie, about I can't remember how you phrased it, but the little ways that guilt shows up, the kind of how it creeps in. I'd love to hear more about that.
Yeah, well, and it is little ways. So I'll give you an example of my dog, who I recently had to put down because she got sick. And what happened was she started having seizures and things, and quickly declined. But my little brain, and I purposely say little, and I was feeling, the sadness of missing her, but my head went back to, oh my God, remember the time when I took her in the car and it was raining outside and she started shaking, and I just thought she was being quirky and acting all scared. I wonder if what was going on started then and I missed it. And if I had been paying attention, then I would have gotten her in sooner, which makes no sense, because even when I did take her to the vet, they could find nothing wrong with her. So the logic wasn't even there, but it is an example of how something's showing up, and we have this tendency, this autopilot, to go to, where did I do something wrong? Where was I not enough? Where did I cause the damage? How is it my fault?
Oh, yes. I do that with my cats.
Right?
they're bingos, so they need to be exercised a lot. And I'll go through
Yeah.
a day and do barely any exercise because I'm busy, because I don't, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I didn't exercise the cats enough. It's like we go through life with these conclusionary realities that are all about how we need to do this, and 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 we need to. I mean, how long is your need to do list? And then when you
Yeah.
miss one thing on it, you go into guilt.
Yes. So true. And not even looking at the millions of awesome things we contribute every single
Yes.
day. That habit of looking for the one thing where we can judge ourselves to determine why we're wrong, why we should feel guilty, and what we need to do to fix it.
Yeah.
And yeah, and just being stuck in that. And you talk about it a lot, Marilyn, with addiction, about the primary addiction being the addiction
Judgment and
to
the
the
wrongness of self.
wrongness of
Yeah,
you and of self.
absolutely. And my mother used to say to me, she was, I would say, addicted to being critical. I only tell you what's wrong with you so you know what to fix. And that's the lesson of a lot of this reality.
Yeah. That is the lesson of this reality, that guilt is actually a useful tool for like
Yes.
what your mom said to you, so you can be better. And there's many people who have the point of view, well, you should feel guilty because
Yes.
that's how you're not going to do that next time. You should feel guilty because that's going to make you better. But actually, all it does is just loops us into not being able to get out of that constant slavior.
Yes.
Because we're trying to not feel bad anymore. And we have decided somehow if we save somebody or fix somebody or some situation, then we can be free.
Yes.
But here's the thing. When is it enough? What is the magic answer to that? When is it enough?
Never.
Exactly.
Never. You should be on this loop your entire life. Your tombstone should read, I died being guilty of not having done 785,000 things that I should have done.
Exactly. So Marilyn, what's a tool? What's one way if somebody's listening going, whoa, have you been listening to my conversations and reading my email? Because this is the story of my life. What is one tool or one step to take to get out of that slavior?
What question could I ask right now? And if I wasn't feeling guilty and feeling obligated to go fix somebody, what would I be aware of? So much of it is about bringing yourself back to the present, because guilt is always based on decisions, judgments, conclusions we've made, and the past, like my mother implanting that in my brain, and looking in the future, how do I stop this pain? So just get present with this. Okay, Mrs. Adams called. She needs for me to go get her medicine. So what am I aware of? She has a son. I'm with my family now. I have to be at work. And so here's two tools.
It's a bonus day.
Just practice saying, I'm sorry, that doesn't work for me. Or I'm sorry, that doesn't work for me right now. You are not responsible for fixing anybody. And if you can really, really get that, and it's also, when we're fixing people, we're disempowering them. We're doing a sense of superiority. No, I'm not saying helping somebody out in the moment if that comes up, obviously. But if you get yourself on the hook for taking care, and the whole neighborhood knows it, or the whole community knows it, or then you've just locked yourself up as a slavior for life. And it is not a very satisfying life, because no matter what you do, you will never make up for the imagined damage that you've done. So
imagine being the key word.
yes.
And people who like to have other slaviors at their beck and call would love to convince you of that imagined.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
How many people in your life have the attitude of you owe me? Why do you owe them anything?
Exactly.
You don't, you owe it to yourself to be kind to you and create your life. And when you're a slavior, you can't create your life. There's no space for it. You are owned by all of those other people who've decided you owe them, or you're just a soft touch or a doormat or whatever it is.
Yeah. And there's a lot in this reality and in families and religion that teaches put other people in front of you,
Mhm.
choose others before you, but it doesn't work. Have you ever noticed that it doesn't work? When you're doing that, you're in everybody else's life. You're not in your own. And when you're not in your own, you wonder why it's not working. It's because you're not actually present there. You're over there and everybody else is trying to right all the wrongs and fix all the things. And most of those people don't want anything to be different anyway. And
No,
yeah, they're
they
happy
want
with
you to
what
fix
they've
the
got going
money
on.
situation by giving them money, but they have
Yes,
no interest in changing their money habits.
correct.
Or they want you to help them with their health, but they have no interest in changing their diet or exercising or do what's required. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's amazing.
It is. So I would invite everybody listening, and I know this is a total spin on its head from what we're taught, but instead of everyone else first, what if you actually started to function from me before you? And
Yeah.
it's not me against you. It's
No.
not me fighting you, but it is simply if I don't choose for me, if I'm not present with me, I have absolutely nothing to contribute over there anyway. So
Right.
it's going to start here with including me, considering me, choosing for me,
Yeah,
even if other people don't like it, whatever their reaction may be.
exactly. And another question to ask is, am I in the computation of this situation? Do
Great
I
question.
actually count in this situation? Because when people want you to fix them and take care of everything and be a doormat, you're just a piece of furniture, if that,
Yeah.
and that's no way to treat yourself.
Nope. And in other people's eyes, people who would like for someone else to fix their life while not really wanting it fixed,
Yeah.
you could give your very last breath and it will not be enough. So
Yes.
is now the time to set you free to choose for you.
I love it. That's a great way, I think, to end this conversation. Is now the time for you to choose for you.
Yes. And Marilyn and I are going to explore slavery and guilt and many things we talked about in this conversation and other topics in a 2-day class we have coming up called Families and Addiction. And it is March the 6th and 7th.
Yes.
9:30 Mountain Time is the start, 8:30 Pacific, 11:30 Eastern. And if this has called to you in any way, we would love to have you come and join us to have 2 days of in-depth conversation and more tools and more processes to deal with families and addiction and these kinds of topics.
I think it's going to be awesome, Marnie. I'm looking forward to it. So much stuff comes up. It's not about planning every little thing. And all of you who join us on the call will have a chance to ask questions about whatever's up for you. So
Yes,
I'd love for you to join us.
definitely love for you to join us. And it will be a space of no judgment, no matter what it is, just a space of bring your questions and pragmatic tools to have something different if you so desire. So thank you, Marilyn. And thank you,
Thank you, Marnie.
and we
See
hope
you
to
soon. Thank you all.